All right, you know what time it is. Live from the Bare Muscle Garage, it's time for Fit Crew. What do we got in store for you today? Let's go ahead and share this on screen. So for today's workout, we've got a nice sprint chipper for you today. We're going to be doing some hand-to-hand swings, some kettlebell snatches, and some kettlebell overhead squats with some GHD sit-ups right before each set. And you may be looking at this thinking, I don't have a GHD. Even if I did, that's kind of crazy. The kettlebell kind of scares me. Don't worry, guys. As always, we're going to warm up really well. And we're going to go through all the options that will allow you to do this workout or your version of it right where you are, using what you have and doing what you can. But let's go ahead and start this general warm up. Here we go. Let's get some arm circles going back, arm circles back. And as you know, my name is Coach Chris. I am a level 3 CrossFit trainer, which means I've logged thousands of hours over many years, helping many people just like you live their best life through health and fitness. Let's move on to arms across the chest. Hug yourself, love yourself. And it's just been a privilege to see how this program has helped hundreds of our Fit Crew family all over the world to do things they never thought possible, to live their best life now. Let's go ahead and move on to the wrist wave. Through this program, through both the WODs and the Flexi Time, it's been my privilege to see all you guys report less pain, more strength, more flexibility, more vitality, just more enjoyment out of your life. Let's go ahead and move on to some high knees. High knees into chest, or if it works better for us, we could do some high elbows, or both. And much of this has to do with digging deep and understanding your why. Why do I need this fitness in my life? How can I use this fitness for my highest purpose, to help others? And when we dig deep and find the answer to this question, that's what helps us to get true discipline and dedication. Let's move on to some calf raises. Up on the toe, back on the heel, up on the toe, back on the heel. Or if it works better, we can do some wrist extensions, or both. And digging deep, understanding that why is super important. It really helps us to get past surface level goals, such as a goal weight or an outfit we want to fit into. You know, these things, there's nothing wrong with that. But when we truly peel back the layers of that onion and understand who we are, that's when we understand why we need to come back day after day, week after week, month after month. And especially when we have an awesome group to do this with, that's extra accountability, that's extra motivation. Let's go ahead and move on to some jumping jacks, or we could do some stepping jacks if we want low impact. And so I've heard from many of you. I want to continue to hear from you. Please drop me a message, leave a comment, or somehow in some other way, let me know how this program has helped you. More importantly, tell a friend. Show your family, your friends, those who are most important to you in your life, how this program is helping you to live a better life. Invite them to join you at the very next opportunity. Let's go ahead and take a break from this warm-up, guys, and we're going to move on to the activation phase, which is where we're going to do a couple different moves that are going to help us to get specifically ready for today's workout. So the first move that we're going to do today is the pigeon. And let's go ahead and have Pippi demonstrate the pigeon for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then that pigeon is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in here. And let's sink into the pigeon on this side. So a couple things to keep in mind. We are laying face down. We've got the one leg up and across the chest, other leg back, and we are sinking into this pose here, opening up those hips, which helps us to get ready for the squats that we're going to be doing. And let's go ahead and switch sides. So we're going to get the other leg up and across the chest, other leg back. And like we talk about, this pigeon here helps us to improve our squats. We always talk about chest up, shoulders back, knees out to the side. And that's exactly what we are promoting here in this pigeon pose. Next, we're going to do some Supermans, and let's go ahead and have Bird Dog demonstrate 2 Supermans for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then those Supermans are going to look like this. So let's everyone join in here and let's do 10 Supermans together. So a couple things to keep in mind. We are laying face down. We've got the arms forward, legs back, hands together, feet together. We're going to raise those arms and those legs and hold the top there for about 2 seconds before coming back down. And so good job here on these Supermans. Next, we're going to do some straight leg sit-ups, and let's go ahead and have Pippi demonstrate 2 straight leg sit-ups for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then those straight leg sit-ups are going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 straight leg sit-ups together. So a couple things to keep in mind. We're going to be laying back with those arms behind us, and we're going to swing those arms for momentum until we get the shoulders in front of the hips, preferably touching the toes at the top. Alternatively, we could also challenge ourselves to fold those arms across the chest and keep them folded the whole way. Let's have Pippi demonstrate a couple reps here. And so we're folding the arms across the chest, getting the shoulders in front of the hips at the top. And we actually don't have to touch the toes at the top there. We're just, there we go. If we can do that, that's a little bit more challenge there. Or you know what? It could be that this straight leg sit-up is very challenging for us, and we need to scale this down a bit. We could do some single leg raises, and let's have Pippi demonstrate a couple of reps here where we're laying on the back, pointing those toes, raising one leg all the way up, then all the way back down, one leg at a time, doing all 5 reps on one side before switching, all 5 reps on one side there. And so good job here on these straight leg sit-ups or single leg raises, whatever we choose to do. Next, we're going to do some bird dogs, and we're going to have Ash show us her creativity on these bird dogs here. Got the whole dogs and cats joining in for fun. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then those bird dogs are going to look like this. So let's everyone join in here and let's do 10 reps of the bird dogs together. Now it could be that this is a bit hard on the wrists and the knees, in which case we may choose to do the dead bug. And let's go ahead and have Pippi demonstrate a couple reps of the dead bug here. So we're laying on the back and we got those arms up, knees up, and we are lowering opposite arm, opposite leg. And notice how we're keeping the other arm and leg stationary while we're lowering each side. But if we're doing this as prescribed, then we're on hands and knees, raising opposite arm, opposite leg, holding the top there for about 2 seconds before switching sides. And so good job here on these bird dogs or dead bugs, if that's what we choose to do. Next, we're going to do some air squats, and let's go ahead and have Pippi demonstrate 2 air squats for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then those air squats are going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 air squats together. So a couple things to keep in mind. These air squats are going to start with the feet about shoulder width apart. And then we are going to initiate by sending those hips back and down, pushing the knees out to the side until we get all the way down, hips below the knees. And then we are driving through the middle of the foot until we get all the way back up to a fully standing locked out position. Now, it could be that getting those hips all the way down below the knees is a bit of a challenge for us, in which case we may choose to do some assisted squats. And let's have Betty Boop demonstrate a couple reps here. And so we can use a sofa, we can use a footstool or medicine ball, whatever target for assistance that we need. We're going to sit back and down and getting up with the least use of the hands as possible. And so good job here on these air squats. Next, what I'd like everyone to do is let's go ahead and grab a light kettlebell if you have one. By light, I mean 10 pounds or less, 5 kilos or less. If we don't have a light kettlebell, then any other light common household item will do, preferably something with a handle today. So it could be an empty laundry detergent jug, an empty water jug, an empty orange juice jug, an empty purse. And if we don't have anything with a handle like that, that's fine. It could be a super light dumbbell, a shoe, a teddy bear, but it's got to be light. We always start light before we go heavy, if at all. So with this light kettlebell in hand, we're going to do some sumo deadlifts. And let's go ahead and have Bird Dog demonstrate 2 sumo deadlifts for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then those sumo deadlifts are going to start like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 sumo deadlifts together. So a couple things to keep in mind. That object is going to start on the ground in between the feet, and we're going to have the feet as close as they can be, but probably about shoulder width apart, just outside hip width. And we're going to have those hips super low, chest up, shoulders back. And we're going to be looking straight ahead, taking a deep breath in, bracing that core as we drive the ground away, getting to a fully standing position with those shoulders back at the top. And we're going to brace that core on the way back down as well. And so good job here on these sumo deadlifts. Next, we're going to do some Russian swings. And let's go ahead and have Pippi demonstrate 2 Russian swings for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then those Russian swings are going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 Russian swings together. So a couple things to keep in mind on the Russian swing. We are going to initiate by sending that kettlebell back between the legs, and we're going to pop those hips to get it up to face level. So we're not pulling with the arms. And in fact, notice how Bird Dog here is being exemplary with those T-Rex arms. Maybe we can turn you to the side so we can see that a little bit more. That just means we are getting this true hip pop there, and we are not pulling with the arms whatsoever. So we really want to squeeze those glutes and get that up to about face level, popping that with the hips. And so good job here on these Russian swings. Next, we're going to do some one arm swings, and we're actually going to have the arm straight for this one. And let's go ahead and have Pippi demonstrate 5 one arm swings on the same arm for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then that one arm swing is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 one arm swings, 5 straight through on each side. So a couple things here. We're still popping this up with the power of the hips. We're getting that kettlebell back between the legs, and we are popping that up with the power of the hips, getting it to about face level there. And so we want to think back then up, not down then up. And we're really getting the power of the posterior to get this up. And so good job here on these one arm swings. And finally, here in the activation phase, we're going to do some strict press. And let's go ahead and have Ash demonstrate 2 reps of the strict press for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then that strict press is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 reps of the strict press together. So one very important thing to keep in mind is how are we gripping the kettlebell? So we want to grip it from underneath like this. We have a nice underhand grip, and we also want to think chest to overhead. So we're holding it at the chest here, gripping it from underneath, pressing that bicep up into the ear, and then coming back down. And we're not pulling it from the top, we're pressing it from underneath like this. And so we've got that kettlebell at the chest level, and then we are pressing that up and back, getting that arm into the ear, all the way back down, slow on the way back down. There's a time for fast later, but we are warming up super slow here. And so good job here on this strict press. Well, that is it for the activation phase. Now we're going to move on to the movement prep, which is where we're going to practice specifically the 4 movements that we're doing in today's workout. The first move that's going to start each set is the GHD sit-ups. And the GHD is a piece of apparatus like you see here. And here's what the GHD sit-up is going to look like. So as we can see, this is a pretty high skill body weight movement, and it takes some years to develop the core capacity and the coordination to get that down. Now, most of us don't have a GHD. We're going to do an at-home modification that's also a good warm-up before we even hop on a GHD, even if we do have one. We're talking about weighted sit-ups. And so to demonstrate the weighted sit-up, let's go ahead and have Pippi demonstrate 2 reps here. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then the weighted sit-up is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 reps of the weighted sit-up together. Now, this is also a very challenging core movement. If the straight leg sit-ups in the warm-up was already a challenge for us, then you know what? let's just continue working on that. And let's have Bird Dog demonstrate a couple reps here of the unweighted sit-up, just a straight leg sit-up there with the arms folded across the chest. So it could be that we're still working on this movement. Or it could be that we need to swing those arms for momentum and we're just working on the straight leg sit-up. But if we choose to do the weighted sit-up, one thing that should be clear is that we are hugging the weight close to the chest and we are not punching that weight out. And let's have Bird Dog show us a couple no reps on this. So you've got that dumbbell on your chest and where you're punching it out on the way up. Let's just show people here. Boom. Yeah. So that punch out is not what we want to see. That's a no rep. Some good reps here is hugging it close to the chest, just like we saw Pippi doing earlier. And if that move is very challenging for us, then let's just continue to work on the standard versions of those straight leg sit-ups or even those single leg raises. Let's have Pippi remind us a couple reps of the single leg raise. It could be that, hey, we need to just do this single leg raise, 5 on one side, 5 on the other side, and we're going to alternate throughout this whole workout. The first of the 3 kettlebell movements that we're doing is hand-to-hand kettlebell swings. And let's go ahead and have Ash demonstrate 6 reps of the hand-to-hand kettlebell swing for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then that hand-to-hand swing is going to look like this. Now, we understand that from the seated position, it could be challenging for many to do that hand-to-hand swing. So we could actually do some alternating one arm pulls from the ground if that's a better option for us. And so let's all join in here and let's do 10 hand-to-hand swings. So a couple things to keep in mind. Just remember in your head, swing, then switch, swing, then switch, clap at the top. We're not switching at the bottom, we're switching at the top. And so we're starting by getting that kettlebell back between the legs, popping that up, swing, then switch. We are switching at the top, just like we see Bird Dog doing here. The switch happens at face level. And as we get tired, we could start to get confused, whatever the case. If that happens, just kind of stop and start all over, regain that momentum, swing, then switch. That is the rhythm that we are doing here. But good job on these hand-to-hand swings or alternating one arm pulls if that's a better option for us. The second of the 3 kettlebell movements that we're doing is the kettlebell snatch. And let's go ahead and have Pippi demonstrate 3 reps of the kettlebell snatch on the same arm for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then that kettlebell snatch is going to look like this. Now we understand that this could be a challenging move from the seated position. So instead, we may choose to do some strict presses from the seated position if that's better for us. So let's all join in here and let's do 10 reps of the kettlebell snatch, 5 straight through on each side. So a couple things to keep in mind. With the kettlebell, it's standard practice to actually do this from the hang. So technically what we're doing here is a kettlebell hang power snatch, if we were to break it down. And we typically don't take a kettlebell from the ground and we will not be tapping the ground in between reps here. And furthermore, with the kettlebell, we don't want to think about alternating each rep. We want to think about getting through at least 5, maybe 10 reps on one side before switching arms, minimizing those transitions. On this snatch, though, we definitely do want to think about getting that kettlebell back between the legs, using the power of the hips. So we're getting it back, popping that up, punching the arm into the ear. One more thing that scares people with the kettlebell is the flip, right? But just like Bird Dog here, we're going to wrangle that kettlebell, show it who's boss. If we punch through that flip, then it's going to land the right way and that kettlebell won't hurt us. And so good job here on these kettlebell snatches. And the third and final move that we're doing with the kettlebell today is the kettlebell overhead squat. We're actually going to practice this single arm overhead squat without weight right now, with just the fist. Very important that we own this position, that we try this position and see where we're at with our mobility first. And let's go ahead and have Pippi demonstrate 3 reps of the single arm overhead squat with just the fist in the air. And let's turn you to the side, Pippi, and let's hold the bottom of one overhead squat here just to show a couple key things. So notice a couple key things. Pippi has the hips below the knees, and she's got that arm locked out, and she's able to pull back with that overhead arm there to keep it in line with the body. It's not falling too far forward there. And so let's go ahead and stand that up, Pippi. And so definitely before we even think about adding some weight, we need to make sure that all 3 of those things are true for us. Hips below knees, arms locked out, arms in line with the body like this. If we're doing this from the seated position, then we're actually going to do some kettlebell tricep extensions, super slow on the way down, and then boom, all the way up like this. And this is going to be the overhead squat for today from the seated position. And so let's everyone join in here. Let's do 10 single arm overhead squats using just the fists right now. And so a couple things to keep in mind, like we mentioned before, we are fighting for good overhead stability here. We are getting those hips below the knees, keeping that arm locked out, pulling back actively to make sure we can keep that bicep into the ear. If this is challenging for us even without weight, then no matter how many badges we've been earning, let's definitely just use just the fists for this today, if that's what we need to do. Furthermore, it could be that we were scaling the air squat with a squat to target. Let's have Betty Boop demonstrate a couple reps here. We could still have the fist in the air if we choose, but we're going to sit those hips back, get those hips to the target, and then stand all the way up. And this can be some assisted overhead squats, definitely without weight if we choose to do this. But good job here on these overhead squats. And let's flex that arm more at the top there, Mighty Mouse. So all the way down, arm straight at the top. And there we go. Well, now it's ramp up time. If you've been earning badges and you'd like to add some weight to do either the scaled, intermediate, or RX weight for today's workout, then let's start to gradually add some weight, doing at least 3 to 5 practice reps of each of these moves: the hand-to-hand swing, the snatch, and the overhead squat, of course, along with those weighted sit-ups if we choose to add weight to those sit-ups. And another detail, it could be that, I decide to go lighter on the overhead squats, and maybe I can go heavier on the hand-to-hand swings and or the snatch. That's perfectly fine for today, and actually encouraged for us to use only the weight that we can on that overhead squat, but maybe push the weight on the other elements. And then, of course, if we have not been earning badges or we're just getting back into this after a long time off, then no matter what, let's not add any weight. That super light weight that we were just using in the warm-up is going to be more than enough for us today. It's very important that we have the right form and consistency with all our habits, as evidenced by earning that badge, before we've earned the right to add or reintroduce intensity, such as by adding weight or going fast. And whether we're adding weight or not, let's pay close attention to the following checklist. Number 1, please make sure your device is fully charged or plugged in so we can get through this whole workout without losing you. Number 2, let's grab some water. Let's take a sip. And let's make sure we got our water nearby so we could take a sip as needed all throughout the workout. Number 3, I'm going to give everyone a 3, 2, 1, go countdown. And that's how you can synchronize your timer with mine if you choose to use one. Number 4, music. Super important. Your playlist is way better than my playlist. I can guarantee it. The great thing is, you can listen to your music. You can blast your music as loud as you want, as long as you can still hear me helping you throughout the workout. And lastly, how are we keeping track of our progress? This is what we call a chipper style workout. So it's one round straight through, but it's still easy to lose track of, hey, what's next? What's going on? So the best way to keep track of things is having the workout written down close by, perhaps with some type of scorecard, just like Mighty Mouse, our teacher's pet for the day, first to the screen. And so if you're a teacher's pet like Mighty Mouse, let's go ahead and hold that whiteboard to the screen. We're about to take this teacher's pet picture. So here we go. Teacher's pet picture in 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Well, I'm going to bring the workout back on screen one more time here, and then we'll get going. So in just about a minute, we're going to start this timer. And we're about to do this chipper workout, which is 15 GHD sit-ups, 40 hand-to-hand swings, then 15 GHD sit-ups, 30 kettlebell snatches, then 15 GHD sit-ups, 20 overhead squats, and then we're done. Please don't be deceived. It takes a lot of hard work to perform a short workout. We may consider this on the shorter side, but we've got some challenging movements here. So no matter how many badges we've earned, let's scale accordingly. Let's know where we're at with these GHDs and or weighted sit-ups. Pick the version that's better for us, for our core, for our back. On the hand-to-hand swings, it could be that perhaps we can push the weight a little bit more, but let's make sure that we're keeping the chest up, shoulders back all throughout. That weight's not taking us down. On the snatch, let's also make sure we're able to pop that up with the hips and we're not pulling with the arms. And then on those overhead squats, it could be that we decide to use just the fist. If we are still working on the depth of our squat, the stability of our elbow lockout, and the stability of our shoulder position, getting those arms into the biceps, then please, let's not add any weight. Let's use just the fists working on that overhead position. So your score is going to be the time it takes you to get through this chipper of 40 hand-to-hand swings, 30 kettlebell snatches, 20 overhead squats with 15 weighted sit-ups before each of those rounds. So if you are good to go, give me a thumbs up over here and we'll get this started. I'm going to give us a 10-second countdown, and then I'm going to highlight Pippi to get us going. So here we go, guys. 15 weighted sit-ups, then 40 hand-to-hand swings, 15 weighted sit-ups, 30 kettlebell snatches, 15 weighted sit-ups, 20 overhead squats. Starting in 10 seconds. Let's get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. And we are off on these weighted sit-ups, hugging that weight close to the chest, not punching it out. So notice, if we've got a weight, but we find ourselves punching that weight out, let's just put that weight away and work on the straight leg sit-up position. But if we are using weight, then let's make sure we're hugging that close to the chest. And furthermore, let's make sure that we're taking a deep breath in on the ground, breathing out at the top. And that's what's going to help us to have a nice, steady oxygen flow while still bracing appropriately. After these 15 reps, we got Ash up and at 'em, about ready to go on these hand-to-hand swings here. So we're getting that weight back, popping that up, switch at the top, popping that up, switch at the top. And we've got 40 reps here. And so, like we said, I do want to challenge you to maybe go heavier on this if you've been earning badges. But another way to challenge yourself is, hey, can I get through all 40 of these without putting the kettlebell down? That's not a requirement, but a special challenge from coach here. And so we'll see if we can hold on. But we are popping with the hips, keeping the chest up, shoulders back, keeping a nice vertical torso. Not letting that weight take us down. Swing, then switch, swing, then switch. We are popping, switching at the face. And we're going to get more power on that pop if we get the feet only as wide as they need to be. So let's actually, there we go, bird dog, you heard me. Bringing those feet in a little bit, getting some more power on that pop. And so we do want the feet wide enough to get the kettlebell back, but not overly wide. And just like that, boom, Ash. Done with all 40 swings. Moving on to these weighted sit-ups. Bird dog as well, moving on to the weighted sit-ups. Betty Boop almost through these hand-to-hand swings. And we've got Pippi done with the swings on these sit-ups. So nice work here. Everyone working through this chipper of a workout. Now, you may have heard the word chipper before, and you may think chipper refers to only super long workouts over 20 or 30 minutes or so. But all a chipper means is, hey, we've got a list of movements. We're going to start from the top, work our way all the way down. And when we're done, we're done. And on a sprint chipper like we're doing today, the emphasis is intensity. It takes a lot of preparation mentally and physically to go to a place where we can sprint and finish within the target window. And so now we're on these snatches, which is upping the challenge of difficulty of the movement. We're getting that kettlebell back, popping with the hips, and now punching that arm back at the top. We're punching the bicep into the ear. And we're thinking about doing either all 15 on one arm before switching, or at least doing 5s in a row. Or, maybe we can do 10, 5, 5, but we've got 30 snatches in this round total. That's going to end up being 15 on each arm. But unlike a dumbbell where we alternate each rep many times, on a kettlebell, it's customary to do more of the reps on one side before switching. But we are popping those hips. Let's really get more pop of those on those hips, Pippi. And you may have more success holding the inside corner of that handle as opposed to the middle. And so holding the other corner there. And so you're holding the left side with the right hand and right, there we go. And you're going to get more pop and it's going to flip better. And so whatever side you're on, hold the inside corner of that handle. If that's confusing, then you can't go wrong with the middle. But there we go, bird dog. Through those snatches onto the last set of weighted sit-ups here. We got Betty Boop finishing these snatches. Pippi as well finishing off those snatches. Mighty Mouse on this last set of sit-ups, and we are sprinting here to the finish. Making our way through these weighted sit-ups. Deep breath in, bracing that core. And we know in this program we have lots of different types of workouts. Some are longer, some are shorter, but they all help us to work on different aspects of our fitness and to be ready for whatever life throws our way. We got Mighty Mouse on this last set here. Deep breath in all the way down. Stretch those arms all the way up. And we've got Ash getting ready to go. I'd like to challenge ourselves to do all 10 reps on one side before switching. Doing all 10 reps on the other side. But if we need to do 5s, that is fine as well. But we are keeping that arm locked out. Let's really punch that arm out more, Bird Dog. Let's lock that arm into the ear. It could be, there we go. Let's really keep that into the ear and let's get those hips low. This is a very challenging movement here. The single arm overhead squat in many ways is more challenging than the dual arm using either a barbell or a PVC, because it's just one arm stability all on its own. And so we are working on this stability, punching that arm into the ear, making our way toward the finish. Looks like Mighty Mouse got there across the finish line at the low end of the target window. Let's breathe, let's get low, let's keep punching up, pulling back, punching up, pulling back. Making our way to the finish, getting those hips low, all the way down. Betty Boop choosing to use just the fist on this, working on the depth of the squat. And there goes Ash, squatting her way toward the finish line. Looks like Bird Dog is across the finish line. Ash as well across the finish line. And Pippi across the finish line, and Betty Boop across the finish line. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, that was super exciting, as it always is. But now we're at the best part of the workout, which is the cool down stretch. And this stretch is super important to help us fight soreness, increase flexibility, so we can come back day after day, staying consistent and committed. So the first stretch that we're going to do today is the saddle eagle. And it's always helpful to start this saddle eagle in a kneeling position. And then we're going to sit back toward the heels, however far we can go. So if we can sit all the way back on the heels, great. If this is all we got, hey, that's cool too. But we're gonna sit back as far as we can, and then the eagle part of the stretch is one elbow on top of the other like this. And if we're doing this from the seated position, we just got the eagle stretch that we're doing here, one elbow on top of the other. But let's hear some high-low buffaloes, and let's hear first from Ash. What was your high-low buffalo today?
My high was probably getting this done and mentally pushing through those overhead squats. My low, I don't know, probably those overhead squats, so they're not my favorite. And my buffalo was probably my overhead squats. I gotta keep working on those.
Overhead squats, definitely. There's a whole lot to unpack there. But at least you understand and appreciate the complexities, and you're continuing to work on it. And so good job, Ash. Let's go ahead and switch to the other elbow here. And let's hear a high-low buffalo from Bird Dog. What is your high-low buffalo for today? If we're doing this from the seated position, we're just switching the elbows here.
Let's see. My high was the snatch. I like doing that, and both actually the kettlebell swings made me feel real strong, so I like doing those. Low, I had to agree with Ash that the overhead squats. I had to work on my form a little bit, but thanks for your help. Buffalo, weighted sit-ups. When I was doing the warm-up, I was thinking, yeah, I'm gonna have to ditch this weight at some point. And I did it with like one time without the weight, and I'm like, wait, this doesn't feel much easier. So I just kept the weight. So it was just like the move that was hard, not necessarily the weight I had. So that kind of was my buffalo. I was a little surprised by that. So, but also proud.
I love that mentality. If it's going to be hard anyway, let's just make it even harder. But still manageable. You still finish within that target window that we were looking for, moving at a nice steady pace on those. So good job, Bird Dog. Let's go ahead and switch to the pigeon now. We've got the one leg up and across the chest, other leg back, sinking into this pigeon like this. And like we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I always love to hear how this program has helped you. And so let's hear from Pippi. How long have you been doing this program and how's it helped you? From the seated position, for the pigeon, we're actually gonna get the elbow up and pull to the side like this for right now.
I've been doing this for 4 years now, and so many ways it's helped me. But just, I think the biggest one is just overall the strength. But strength meaning that I feel like confident that when I need to help my family, I'm going to be able to help my family. You know, I need to help a friend move, I'm going to be able to help a friend move, and I'm not going to get hurt, because the things we learn here not just make us stronger, but make us so that our form. We're lifting properly, proper body mechanics, and that just helps us overall. So yeah, I love that. It's giving me the confidence that I can do it.
That you can, and I'm sure you have many friends that are always appreciative of your help when it's time to move. We've always said in this program that moving is probably one of the highest expressions of fitness. You know, we're lifting lighter things, heavier things, trying to get it done in time. And that's just one of the best tests of the functional capacity that we're working toward here. So thank you so much, Pippi, for your great example. Let's go ahead and switch to pigeon on the other side. So we got the other leg up and across the chest, other leg back. And we also really appreciate hearing from Betty Boop. Been doing this program for some time. How long have you been doing this? How has it helped you? And if we're doing this from the seated position, we're getting the other arm up, pulling to the side like this.
I've been doing this program not quite 4 years, maybe a couple months shy of 4 years. So it's helped me a lot. It's helped me a lot. What was the question? What?
Well, how's this program helped you in your life?
I'm 74, so I know I'm in better shape than some of my peers that are even younger than me. So I enjoy doing it. I want to stay active, and you know, you got to keep it moving. So I love this program, and I thank you, Coach, for all your instruction.
And we thank you, Betty Boop. Great example for us, 74 years young, moving, lifting, and just living your best life. Well, that's our WOD, that's our stretch, that's our high-low buffalo. You know what's left, this sweaty selfie. Does it count if we don't take this selfie? Let's flex on the camera here, guys, and let's take this selfie. Sweaty selfie in 3, 2, 1. And crazy face. And let's put the fists in the middle for the cheer. On 3, 2 claps, fit crew. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Fit crew.
Fit crew. Thank you guys so much. If you enjoyed this program, then please give this channel a subscribe, a like, and a share. Thank you very much, and see you next time.